Could you give us an update on the repatriations of the EU citizens in the COVID-19 context? How many has the EU mechanism helped already and how many still stranded abroad? Which are the countries you are facing most difficulties with?
Thank you. This is a good question because there I think we can be proud of the work we have been doing intensively during these last days. You know, I think that we have to make the difference between people who has been repatriated using the civil protection mechanism, which is the last resort procedure, and people who has been repatriated by commercial flights organized or chartered by member states, and even in some cases by military planes. On the first way of repatriation, using this civil protection mechanism, the numbers are around 10,000 people. I don't have the precise figure here, it changes every time, but yesterday it was about 10,000 people. But it is being done like as the last resort, when there is no other way, no other flight, no other airline willing to fly. In this case, the European Union charters flights, non-commercial flights. It takes care of an important part of the cost, and it is being under the demand of a member state who has been targeting a specific group of nationals that there is no other way to bring back home. But it's a much bigger number when we talk about the coordination with commercial flights or chartered flight by member states, and in this case we are talking about 250,000 people. You can imagine that there is a big number of flights all over the world, 250,000 people. And I am happy that some of these flights, when they were landing, they were wearing not only the flag of the European member state who chartered the flight, but also the European flag. I've seen pictures of a German plane with the two flags, the German and the European, landing in a very far away country to pick up European people. This is a good image, and I really would like it to be repeated many times, because I think that Europe has to touch the heart of the Europeans in order for them to perceive that really the European Union is able to be protecting them. 250,000 people, but unhappily there are still about 350,000 people more. One could not imagine that there were so many European people stranded in the world. Tourists, visitors, short-term workers. We are not talking about permanent residents. We are talking about people who were traveling, and their traveling plans were disrupted by this, by the measures taken by a lot of countries, cutting the flights, closing their space, closing the hubs, or just airlines not flying. There are still 350,000 people requesting to come back. And on the next day, the effort will continue, although it is every day more difficult because the airlines are grounding the planes and their space is every day more closed. The hubs are being impossible to use. The transfers are more difficult. But I think that little by little, all of them will go back home.
Could you switch off your mobile because it's a little bit interference? We continue with a few more questions still. Just the sound. Sorry. Okay, it's just phone ringing here, so we need to deactivate.